Good day to your money and welcome to the Iowa channel Astro In with Abhi, oneness in astrology and spirituality. It's nice to have you on the channel. Jai Shri Ram. Namaste.
Good day, Abhi, and namaste to you. Thank you again for having me on your channel.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so today I have a question to you. And I think this is just a curiosity question. It's me and my curious mind. So, Abhi, how did you become an astrologer? Like, how did you get into doing what you do? Where did it start?
Okay. Okay, so astrology is just one. Okay, firstly, I must admit that this question I get all the time from all my clients. Well, all the recent ones, some of the past ones.
Mm,
And this is a question that I'll always get. Abhi, I want to do what you're doing. Abhi, how long are you doing it for? How did you realize all of this? Astrology is something that um, is a manifestation or is a consequence of a certain path that I chose to dive into. So astrology is not something that I chose to do. Astrology is a consequence of the path that I was on. And what path was I on? Growing up has been challenging. Yes, I must admit that this has a little bit has come through from previous lives, and as an astrologer, it's very easy to see um, this evident in a birth chart. So a little has come from there, but it was my decision to take this energy and go into it. And
mm,
at 4 or 5 years of age, I mean, I could hear thoughts. I mean, how crazy is that? It's very crazy. I would think of something and then it happens. And everybody has this intuition. I
mm.
think in the next podcast we will do, I think we'll do a final one today, where we will discuss what is gifts. A lot of people ask me what is gift. I have a gift. If I have a gift, when did I realize I have a gift? So take cognizance of this as my next question um, that I will
Okay, I've
answer.
noted it.
So at 4 or 5 years of age, I could understand these things. I knew I was different immediately because if I looked at the other kids, they was involved in the sport just like how I was, but they wasn't as sensitive as I was. I was very sensitive. I could just pick up when I never wanted. I wasn't welcomed in a certain space. I could pick up who liked me around them and who didn't, without them saying anything. As a kid, I mean, as an adult, you would understand this. But as a kid, I'm talking about 4 to 5 years of age.
Mm,
Primary school was no different. The whole of primary school was no different to this. I was just like every other kid in the 90s, you know, trying to explore and find out about life. And high school was no different also to primary. It's just that in high school, I knew, I accepted that I'm different. So I knew
mm,
as a kid, but in high school, I accepted it. When I accepted it, everything worked out after that. I accepted the fact that I'm different from my siblings. I accepted the fact that I'm misunderstood. I accepted the fact that I don't understand myself. So it's okay to be misunderstood. I accepted the fact that there is certain capabilities which I can harness, which I can then transmute and bring a positive shift. There is all of this negative.
mm,
I can transmute it and bring something into life from this, which I can use later on. There were lots of questions that I asked. I asked many people religious questions, spiritual questions. And I asked them not just because I wanted to ask him, I asked him because I wanted to make some kind of sense towards certain practices, and nobody could answer me from a point of wisdom. Everybody answered me from a point of their own belief system.
Mm.
Now, for me, as a life path number 7, I'm never concerned about what you believe in. I'm concerned about your experience and how can I experience that, because I want that experience. I'm not concerned about what somebody believes in. So around 2008, 2009, this was the beginning stages of when everything was being launched within me. Oh, this is where much realization was happening. I knew that I got a lot of work to do, and I never knew how long it will take me, but I knew that the work has to start now. So I got myself involved into Bhakti Yoga. Actually, not 2008, it was 2004, 2003 or 2004. I got myself involved in Bhakti Yoga, which is devotion towards my higher power. And from there, my devotion moved towards many different higher powers, regardless of whatever names you call them. I started seeing similarities in all of them. I started seeing the same power, the same light. I started seeing them in nature, part of nature, doing the same work,
Mm.
just personified in different forms or names. And from me, I started seeing them in the planets. I've always been a kid fascinated about the stars. You know, not
Mm.
every day you'll see a new star cluster up above. If you go on YouTube, you'll never find a new star cluster formed every day. So I
Mm.
was always fascinated about astronomy, astrotheology, astrophysics,
Mm.
aerodynamics, anything that involved the air, space, space-time, space travel.
Mm.
Dimensions, mathematics. Here we're talking about 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. Then in 2006, this is where the Bhakti Yoga, the devotion, was getting a bit stronger. And as the devotion was getting stronger, as a consequence of this, the more light, more awareness is. And with more awareness brings in new possibilities. So this is where I started to understand the planetary effects on human life. Without anybody sitting down and teaching me, I started to see it for myself.
Mm.
When I started seeing it for myself, this is when I started asking the learned, in inverted commas, the learned people who do rituals and whatever, and the answers would always be, planets. There's good and bad, positive and negative. It never sat well with me, because for me there's no good or bad. Anything
Mm.
that's negative can be used and made into a positive, because in my life I've shown this, I've demonstrated this here to do the transmuting of energy as a kid. So I'm like, okay, the either way to make this, in inverted commas, bad energy into good. So I started getting more involved into the different kind of planetary alignments. This is where I started doing a little research. But then again, this never did me any good, because the astrologers that I looked at, the explanations back at that time, there was no Google. Google was very new at that time. YouTube wasn't. We never had. I don't think we had YouTube at that time. I've never seen YouTube. So the little that I saw at that time never made sense, because this was, the the awareness of each astrologer, what they were of. But this is something that I have already bypassed. I wanted to know something more bigger than that. And 2009, 10, 11, this is where Google became my best friend. and I would look at the planets. It's not that I never understood them, but it would confirm a lot of things that I already knew within me without any formal education. And then I'm like, okay, where did I pick this up from? I picked this up from my way of life. Once you go close to the heater, you will get the warmth of it. I went close towards the heater. I got the warmth of it. I dove into the dimension of true self. Once you take a step towards true self, the consequence of it is true self qualities. And we are part of the planets like they are part of us. So they will open up this dimension of wisdom to you. So from within, Shiva played a very important role. Shiva, that which is not. The planets itself opened up its dharma, its duties as to what it does when it's aligned with the other planets, or when there's certain aspects, or in their presence in different houses, or as they orbit, their forward motion, their backward motion, what this
Mm.
means. All of this made sense to me without any consulting of anybody. And to confirm this, this is where Google played a very important factor in my life. Google always confirmed this. There were different astrologers back then. This is from India that confirmed a lot of these type of questions that wasn't asked from me just by reading.
Mm.
This is when I knew that okay, there is something within me which I've become aware of because of the pathless path that I'm on, and I'm on the right track. And I can promise you here, just by accepting this, that this is the track that I should be on and I should continue. This is where more capabilities opened up for me because I started paying more attention towards nature. I started finding the similarities between myself and nature, the planets and nature, the planets and themselves. I started understanding numerology, the vibration itself, dimensions, and how they all talk to each other, how they are all similar to each other, how the 7 days of the week function with the 7 colors, the 7 planets, the vibrations 1 to 7, 1 to 9, the 9 months the baby be in the womb, the 1 year ceremony that take place after life leaves the body, 9 months to a year to 13 months. Why? Similarities in these months. So this is where meditation started to take place. This was in the early years of 2000 and early years of 2006. This is when it started meditation. I'm not talking about the meditation that you will sit in a place and you would really dive into some kind of mantra. No. I'm talking about meditating and dissolving the self. Started in the early years of 2006. Yet, the dissolution of the ego is a long process. Depending on how strong you are attached to the material dimension, it was a long process for me because of the different roles that I fulfilled in my workspace. I started to find that I'm saying this from a very humble space. I knew more than most human beings that I came in contact with. I was aware of much more. It's only after a considerable period of time that others realized that I was right in what I was saying. So this is where I started to accept that there is something that is not present within me, but I am capable of which is being able to see something that is going to happen based on your karma, based on your choice. This is going to happen. If you choose this way, that's going to happen. If you choose that way, that's going to happen. If you choose that way, that's going to happen. And from there, what's going to happen from there? And from there, what's going to happen? So the ability to see from the third and fourth dimension, third and fourth dimension became quite apparent. And from seeing from these dimensions, I started to practice this on different people. Year 2013, 14, actually 2011, 2010, 2010, 2011, right up until 2015, I started practicing it on many people. There are countless. I cannot count the number of people that I've practiced on. I've even practiced this on myself. I landed myself in a lot of trouble because I wanted to see what happens if I do this and that. What happens if I think like this a certain way over a considerable period of time? What happens to my body? What happens to my aging process? What happens to my organs? And every single time it was proved to be true. That I could see the consequences of every thought, word, and action. So this is why I label myself as a karmic specialist. A karmic specialist. Specialist in karma, in action. Thought karma, word karma, speaking karma. I refer to myself as a karmic specialist because I feel that I have a trained eye. A trained eye. Look, I may not get you to the shore, but if I can get you close enough where you can swim yourself to the shore in safety, I've done my job. This science is something that is not governed. It is too vast. I never know I don't know what is the end. I don't know how much more there is. What I do know is this is definitely not the end all and beyond. How much more longer there is, I don't know. So these are the sciences which I have become aware of. Astrology, Westernology, numerology, moonology, tarot, light giving, shedding of light. Pretty much on any topic that you may talk about, I'm able to dive into a certain dimension and everything is aware. I've become aware of everything and I'm able to deliver it. And sometimes this is what happens. And sometimes I just talk and I'm just realizing that I am witnessing what I'm saying, yet it's not me.
Wow.
So in a lot of instances, I am just learning as much as you are when I'm talking. Yet I don't know who's doing it. I cannot see them with my two eyes, with my only eye, my pineal gland, or whether you call it a third eye or whatever. I know it is something that is, I'm not seeing it, but I know it. Something which is complete, all knowing. Whether that's my higher self, whether that's my true self, I don't know. At this stage, what I do know is that karmic astrology, numerology, moonology, tarot, light giving, chakra balancing, nullification, cord cutting, all of these sciences I've become aware of. Maybe not to its full potential. Definitely not. But I am aware of it. I'm aware, which is not my knowledge. I'm just aware of it. I'm aware of nature's laws. Not full, but I'm aware. So it is very difficult to define myself because these are the things that I am not. I am just aware of it. It doesn't define me because there's no difference between me and you. It's just that I'm tuning into let's call it a frequency, which you are not. You are tuning into East Coast Radio. You will hear East Coast Radio news. I'm tuning into this all the time. So I'm able to perceive and deliver. Whether it's talking to me or through me, not necessarily important. What I do know is that I'm just aware of it. And that's it. So the abilities have become astrology, the ability to see future events. Future events, not all the time, it just happens. And these are the consequences of being on a path that is a pathless path, not defined by any religion, but building a relationship with your higher power. The consequences are such, it's no difference to higher power. It's on its own. So intelligence is a consequence. It's intellect. Do I know everything? No, definitely not. Do I know 1% of everything? No, definitely not. Do I know 0.001? I cannot measure it. I just know one thing. What I do know is who I am and where I'm going to, where I've come from and where I'm going to. That's all I know. Every other thing is just have become some kind of awareness to me, which is not my work. I'm just aware of the science, if that makes sense.
It does.
So I have, yes, I have read a few books, not to its complete state, maybe a couple of pages here and there, but these were all to confirm which I've already known anyway. So I've never really been one to watch videos or talk to anybody or read books. No, I've never done that. I've just become aware of that, and it just seems that the spirit is aware of everything. It's just that we forgot. And the way to remember it is the ways that I've discussed on my previous podcast. Once the ego is, you're in a state of dissolving the ego, everything else is possible. Jai Shri Ram, I hope it answers the question. That's me, Astro in Udabi, bringing oneness in astrology and spirituality. My purpose is to help myself, help you look at your karmic memory, which is your memory, your guru. To look at your guru as your memory, exercise the memory and make better decisions going forward through the use of your memory, your guru. Karmic evolutionary process, evolving from a situation, learning the lessons, and coming out of a situation. That's my purpose. That's what I'm passionate about. And I use the different sciences. I will call them different sciences so that you can understand them. But for my awareness, they're not different sciences. They're all the same. They all tie back into astrology, which ties back into spirituality, which ties back into the material dimension, which ties back into one aspect of the many different dimensions, which ties back into the different frequencies. They all talk to each other. You see, we are all human in human body, but you're a female, I'm a male, one is tall, one is human, but different bodies. Similar to the all part of the same science, but just different ways.
Mm.
The physical components of the body is different, but the way it's behaving, the way it's living, the way the machine is functioning is the same. By some kind of intelligence, which is called nature's law. Or nature's law is a consequence of how this machine is functioning, this body. Same like this here. Nature's law is nature's law. But when you break it down to understand how it's functioning, we come out with numerology, astrology, and all of this.
Mm.
Nature's law is nature's law. To understand it, our minds are able to perceive so much more. And that's the whole purpose of bringing astrology and spirituality and bringing the awareness of both, because they're no different.
Mm.
Astrology is the science behind all creation. Spirituality is astrology and everything else above it and below it. But astrology still dissolves into spirituality.
Mm.
One goes into the next. But that doesn't mean that they're different. The droplet of water finds its way back to the ocean. They're no different after that.
Yes.
How would you find the droplet of water?
Can't.
You cannot. So astrology and spirituality, how can you break them apart? You can never break them apart. Because astrology goes back into spirituality. You can take a droplet out of the water. But once you put the droplet back into the water, how do you find the droplet?
Mm.
So one who has seen the droplet go in the water, he's unable to take it out. So I have seen astrology go into spirituality. I can never take it out. Whether you believe in astrology or not, it doesn't change the fact. Truth never bends where all defiance. So this is the purpose of the Iowa Foundation, the Iowa Astro Inudabi channel. This is the purpose of this podcast, is to bring the listener to a point of accepting truth, not a belief. What is truth? How nature is functioning. Not how A says it, not how B says it, but your truth, how you see it, and how much more you want to see. If you're seeing it functioning in a certain way, do you think that's the end all and be all? Definitely not.
Yes.
What are you doing to know more? How consistent are you? This is what is the return on investment that you're getting from knowing more? Once you
Mm.
know more, you make better decisions. Because all human beings are only suffering something they don't know. But once you know, what are you suffering? So intelligence
Mm.
is the consequence, or intelligence is the root for intellect is the root for peace. Misery, misery is the root for, oh sorry, not knowing or not understanding is the root for
Mm.
misery. So the Iowa Foundation is bringing intellect into existence. It's there, but it's not existing in many people. It's not existing because the minds are not tuned into intellect. The mind is tuned into material desires. The mind is tuned into material comforts. The mind is tuned into the material dimension of reality. And as a consequence of that, misery is. Less knowing is. I hope I've done justice to. I can go on and on. We've already went 28 minutes. I can probably do another
Yeah.
half an hour. But I think I will leave it there. I thank you for your time.
Okay.
Dear listeners, please
Thank
listen to this
you.
podcast as much as you can so that you understand that there is no singularity, or this that my explanation can never be confined to anything. It's not a religious view. It can never be confined. It can never be governed by any program, because this is not astrology. This is not numerology. This is everything. This is spirituality. This is the ocean of spirituality with many droplets of water. Many, many droplets of water. Astrology is one of them. Numerology is one of them. Numerology and tarot is the other. But as the years go, the days go, the weeks go, the months go, the years go, there's more droplets of water being formed. It's just that there's no words to call it. It's just annoying. That's what it is. It's just annoying. And everybody has the potential of knowing, but nobody has the desire to know. Most human beings want to know, and once they know a little, they get excited and they're like, this is the end all and be all. That's it. Thank you, Mani. Thank you, dear listeners. Jai Shri Ram. God bless you all.
Thank you, Abhi. Thank you for sharing that with us, or sharing it with me. And I'm sure, it's so nice to hear you explain your journey from where you were and to where you are right now. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Jai Shri Ram. Namaste.
Jai Shri Ram. Bye bye.